For my second weave, I'm going to use, again, complementary colors, but then within the complementary colors, I don't have to use just the full saturation hue. So you can separate out your two piles from the complementary colors, and then from within that, you can choose any two. So tints, tones, and shades. Here I have a tint, and here I have a slight tone. Here I have a shade of this yellow-orange, and here I have a slight tint of the yellow-orange. So these both come from the same hue family, as do these, which are complements, but then it's the tints, tones, and shades within that. So again, you can choose from anything that's in that stack that you sorted to arrive at this color combination. So two of one complement and two of the other. So then I'm going to choose one set of the complements and begin to build my vertical fringe. So for this, what I did was I took a piece of masking tape and folded it in half, so it's about 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to pin these down starting from the top. And I put this on the grid on my cutting mat so that the tape would cover at least 2 inches. And then I started with one piece in the center. And this is just because for this particular pattern, it's going to be a little bit harder to use the template. You're welcome to work with the template if you want, but you can also work more intuitively on this one because the template's a little hard until you're used to weaving. So I put this one down in the center so that it reminds me that I need to build out these two tones symmetrically. So I can do it in any order that I want. So I can do a single strip and then 2 strips. I could even do 3 strips between the two different colors from this hue set until I've finished spreading it all the way. So when you've completed laying out one of the complements, you should have a total of 15 strips with a central strip and then building out a mirror from there. Now that doesn't mean that this has to be a different color. You could have 5 here in a row. It just means that from the center it needs to mirror in how you lay it out across. Now I've discovered a new system for threading this underneath. Instead of starting at the bottom, what I'm doing is pushing up the elements that I want to go on top and leaving the other ones down so that I can begin to thread it through a little bit like a loom. So as I'm working on the vertical strips, I want to keep in mind that I get 7 strips, then I'll get my center strip, and then it starts mirroring out the other way. So whatever's happened in the first 7 to 8 strips here is the limits for my design. So in order to preview the design, I've taken the template and take one of the templates and cut it out and pull out the inside so I can have a little temporary window. And that will allow me to take a look at how my design is progressing. And I know I have 2 more rows, so this is my time to think about what I want to do in the center of my design before it's going to get reflected out. So here's my finished weave, and here's how it looks with my temporary little window. And this one I didn't have too much trouble pushing the pieces together, and I suspect that that's, I still had to use a tool to nudge it, but I suspect that's because these were individually pinned down, so there was a tiny bit of space in between. So if you're having trouble with the tightness on the first pattern, because it was just, it was left uncut at the top, then I recommend you use the same process for the first one. But since this was easier to piece together, to tighten together, I didn't have to use a lot of tape on the back. So at the end of this, I'm still going to take a couple pieces of removable tape, and I still want to fold over the top and create a little tab here. two pieces to tape it down from the back. And I just want to leave it temporary so that if I need to go back in and make any changes to the design based on feedback, I still have that ability. And when it's absolutely final, I can put it down with something more permanent. So there it is. And now I can also hold together the pieces at the top by pulling the tape up, and since I folded this in half, I can now fold it over. And if you're working on the pattern and you get partway through and you need to take it with you, this is also a great way to make it portable. And then when you get to a new location, you can just tape it down from